The day they told me I was being, quote, retired early, I still had 19 letters in my bag and 2 parcels tucked under my arm. The guy from Central Distribution, new suit, no weather lines in his face, didn't even look up from his tablet when he said it. "You've been routed out, Ron. Routed out." Like a bad cable or a blocked sidewalk. Not a person, just data they didn't need anymore. My name's Ron Lacey. I've been a postal worker in Marlow Ridge, population 2,207, for 38 years. I've walked every street, gravel road, alley, farm fence line, trailer park, and collapsed cul-de-sac from Ridgeway Hill to Pike Creek. I knew every dog by name, every kid by sight, every porch step by how it creaked. I've delivered wedding rings, oxygen tanks, death notices, and more birthday cards than I can count, especially to people who don't get visitors anymore. They said the new logistics model was streamlined. The drones would, quote, optimize vertical drop efficiency. No more walking. No more knocking. Just packages, no people. I finished my last route anyway. Didn't tell anyone it was over. Just slipped the mail into boxes like I had every day since 1984. When I got home, I set my satchel down on the table, stared at the hooks where my old route maps used to hang, and realized something chilling. The new system didn't account for unmapped locations. The trailers down on Briar Patch Road, technically off the grid. The makeshift cabins by the old quarry, no legal address. The folks who lived in the woods, the ones who got meds delivered through backdoor handoffs and trusted me because I didn't ask questions. They weren't on the system, which meant they wouldn't receive anything. Not medicine, not ballots, not notices. They'd vanish. Quietly, unless someone remembered where they were. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I unrolled the old master map I'd marked up over the years. My notes. My paths. Routes that weren't on any GPS, just in my boots. And the next morning, I drove my truck up to Ridgeway Hill, where the old cell tower still half worked. Then I did something they never expected. I started drawing a new map. Not online, not digital. On paper. By hand. And I began rewriting Marlow Ridge the way it really was, not how the network wanted it to be. That same week, the drone delivery program failed to reach 22% of residents. No signature. No one home. Some packages dumped in ditches. One drone got taken out by a hawk. I got a call from someone I hadn't heard from in years. A girl named Casey, who used to ride her trike up to my truck just to hand me acorns and ask me how mail worked. She was grown now, pregnant, living just off a logging road. No listed address. The pharmacy had stopped delivering. She asked, "Do you still have your satchel?" I told her yes. Then I grabbed it from the hook and walked. Casey's house was just past the creek that doesn't freeze in winter, down a path that wasn't on any map. Except mine. I brought her the package. Her insulin. Left it on the stump where I used to balance her birthday cards so the dogs wouldn't chew the corners. She cried when she opened the screen door. Not because of the delivery. Because I remembered. "I thought they forgot us," she said. "They did," I told her. But I didn't. By the end of that week, I'd redrawn 15 locations. Not addresses, names. Frank and Amp, Lou's trailer with the red door. Fern's place, past the split tree. Harvey's Airstream, back left wheel always flat. The drone routes failed 4 more times. A truck got stuck trying to use the GPS route I knew hadn't existed since the 2009 flood. People started calling me. Some didn't even say their names. Just said things like, "Ron, you still doing it?" Or, "Hey, it's the Garden Gnome mailbox off County D. I started walking again. Not every day. Just when it mattered. I kept the new map folded in my back pocket. Crossed off failed addresses. Added real ones. By week 3, my satchel was full again. Not just mail. Messages. Notes from one neighbor to another. Grocery lists. Cans of soup handed off with quiet thank yous. A worn cassette tape marked, "Play if I'm gone." Then something strange happened. Someone left mail for me. A letter tucked under a fence post where I used to turn around at the end of Timberline Drive. No name. Just handwriting I didn't recognize. "You're the only one who still sees us." And inside the envelope, a hand-drawn map. Of somewhere I'd never been. A third-hand copy of a route I didn't draw. It led past the edge of the known county line. Through brush. Through what used to be mining land, now blocked off by state signs and drone restriction zones. I followed it. I found 3 houses. Solar-powered. Kids. A schoolroom, drawn in chalk on the side of a barn. One woman met me at the edge of the gate. No smile, no greeting, just tired eyes. She said, "We've been off the system for 4 years." I handed her a letter. It wasn't addressed, but she read it like it was meant for her. Then she gave me a name, the Hollow Route. She said others were out there too. Living, working, surviving, but off-grid. Disconnected not because they wanted to vanish, but because the map had stopped including them. I updated my own map that night. Labeled the entire new section, Unseen. The next day, I found a drone parked in my driveway, its blinking light red. Recording, watching. A package sat beneath it with my name, spelled wrong. Address, not mine. Inside? A note. Cease activity or face legal action for interference with logistical automation. Signed by no one, but stamped with the seal of central distribution. They'd noticed. Good. Because I was just getting started. The drone came back the next night. This time it didn't hover. It waited. Stationary. Watching. Quiet red blink. A warning without words. I ignored it. Instead, I hiked back to the hollow route. The woman from before was waiting. This time, she brought me inside. There were maps taped to the walls. Not mine, but similar. Not printed. Not digital. Drawn in pencil and soot. Notes in the margins like, "Don't trust the stream crossing. Bridge shifts. Brand stays by the fence. He's deaf. Knock hard." These weren't routes. They were relationships. I asked who made them. She said all of us. After the power company dropped us. After the storm that never made it to the state's radar. After they closed the satellite school. I handed her my folded map. She opened it slowly. Her hands shook. "You're the first one to come to us," she whispered. "Not true," I said. "You came to me, left a letter." Her brow furrowed. "That wasn't us." We stared at each other. Someone else was using my route and feeding me toward the unseen. The next day I found out who. A kid, maybe 17, named Milo. Skinny, sharp, quiet. He'd followed my route for months, made copies of my deliveries, picked up where I couldn't go, with his bike, his feet, his memory. "I found your map once," he said. "You dropped it by the Ridgeway grocery. I traced it before returning it. Thought maybe I'd help." "You been delivering my mail?" "No," he said. "I've been expanding it." He showed me his backpack. Dozens of folded pages. Delivery loops, notes, feedback from people who couldn't write to the government anymore because the government stopped printing their zip code. He looked at me like I was the one who didn't get it. "You started it," he said. "But this is a network." That week I met 3 more. A retired surveyor who mapped trails with foot-level GPS. A former librarian who cataloged every known unofficial address. A woman who'd built a roadside booth with 1 broken mailbox and 200 handmade envelopes that read, "For someone, WHO remembers me." We started meeting on Sundays, swapping new names, adjusting routes. By week's end, we had over 400 locations. We called it the Other Map, and people started writing letters again. Not emails, not posts, letters. I delivered a stack of them to a woman named Nadine, who lived in a converted van behind an abandoned water station. She held them like they were made of gold. "These are real," she said. Then she said something that chilled me. "They just cut off our medical shipment. Said no proof of address." That night, we voted. We would create proof. Paper, ink, documentation. Real enough to scan, official looking enough to challenge the system that erased them. Milo printed the first set. Each document stamped with 1 word in faded red ink. Included. We delivered 62 of them in 3 days. On the 4th day, Central Distribution sent 2 field officers to my door. Suits. Flat smiles. They handed me a folder. Inside, photos of me, of Milo, of the unseen, and an order. "Cease all unsanctioned courier activity. Your actions constitute the unauthorized creation of a parallel infrastructure." They called it infrastructure. That's when I knew we weren't just delivering anymore. We were rebuilding a country the system had lost. After the visit from Central Distribution, I expected them to shut everything down. But they didn't. They watched. Drones hovered higher. Cell signals dropped in tighter grids. Mailboxes, real ones, began disappearing overnight, yanked from poles like bad teeth. A quiet erasure. They didn't want confrontation. They wanted control. So we moved faster. The Other Map wasn't just a route now, it was a network. We started coding signals into envelopes. Blue corner dot, delayed meds. Green underline, no heat. Red X on the back flap, immediate help needed. We partnered with old CB radio groups, RV nomads, retired meter readers, anyone who remembered how to navigate without a touchscreen. And then came the first walkout. 6 families, all from the East Ridge Mobile Estates. Their delivery status had been marked non-existent in the system after a zoning reclassification, which meant no food assistance, no legal notices, no ballots. So we mapped them back in. We gave them IDs, mail logs, recorded delivery receipts with carbon copies, not fake, real enough to push back. They started receiving aid again, not because the government admitted it, but because we reinserted them into the system using their own formatting. And someone noticed. A letter came. Not a threat. A request. Typed. Postmarked from 3 towns over, from a woman named Mariah, claiming to be a former city planner who'd been fired for resisting route elimination. She asked to meet. She arrived with 3 notebooks and a GPS drone she'd cracked open and reprogrammed to fly our routes. She'd been tracking displacement patterns. What she showed us made our blood run cold. Every closure, she said, every removed address, they aren't random. They're reshaping the country. She showed overlays, thousands of omitted points forming neat corridors. Future shipping lanes. Corporate development zones, erasure for efficiency. They're not just forgetting people, she said. They're fencing them out of the future. And then Milo walked in with a letter that broke the room. It was from a mother 2 towns over. She and her 2 kids had been flagged relocated, which meant no record, no delivery. She'd written the letter by candlelight and handed it to a stranger who passed it to a farm worker who passed it to a guy on a motorbike who'd heard about us on CB Channel 5. The envelope was dirty, smudged, but it got to us. All it said was, "We're alive. Please don't let them erase us." We rerouted everything that night. Every rider, every courier. And we started our most dangerous project yet, the shelter routes. Not just maps to deliver to the unseen, but routes to move them. People. Quietly. Safely. We used hay trucks. Decommissioned ambulances. Mail vans no one tracked anymore. They weren't illegal, they were just invisible. The next week, we moved 14 people. By the end of the month, 61. All documented, all mapped. The old roads no one used anymore, we used them. The dead zip codes, we brought them back to life. And then one night, I returned home to find my own house marked. Painted in red. Disconnected. No power, no water, no mail. They weren't trying to stop me. They were trying to make me disappear. I slept in my truck that night. No lights, no heater, just the satchel beside me, heavy with letters that still needed delivering. The word disconnected was still fresh on my siding. A message to me and to anyone thinking about following. But I wasn't scared. I was furious. Because they'd made one mistake. They assumed the map lived in my house. On my walls. In my hand. But it didn't. It lived in people. Milo had a copy. So did Mariah. So did 30 others, scattered across 5 counties, each with a different piece, a different section. A broken map. By design. If they erased me, they wouldn't erase the route. That morning, I left a letter on my front step. No address. Just a message in thick black ink. We were never lost. You just stopped looking. Then I drove. Not to deliver. Not to walk. But to speak. There was an old radio station 2 towns over WPKR 94.6. Used to play nothing but jazz and obituaries. The place shut down during the first wave of automation. But the tower? Still standing. Still functional. And someone, one of ours, had kept the booth running. I got on the air. No music, no preamble, just my voice. This is Ron Lacey, Postal Carrier, Idaho 43287. If you're hearing this, it means we're still out here, still walking, still remembering where you live, even if the map forgot your name. We've redrawn the lines, and if they shut us down, we'll redraw them again. I read the names of the hollow route. I read the names from the shelter routes. I read Casey's name, Helen's, Milo's. I read them until my voice cracked. Then I said, "You are not erased. You are written down, and we are delivering you back into the world one step at a time." By nightfall, something incredible happened. A convoy arrived. Old vans, horses, skateboards, modified wheelchairs, people who'd been listening, who'd once received a letter from someone who remembered them. They came not to march, but to map. We laid out new coordinates, pinned cloth flags to fences, planted mailboxes in fields where addresses had never existed. And the people? They came out. From the woods, from hollowed houses, from nowhere, each one holding a letter they'd saved. Some were stained, some were blank, but all of them had been delivered. Central Distribution sent a final drone. It hovered overhead, recorded everything. Then it turned around and flew away. We haven't seen one since. Now, every Sunday, someone new takes the satchel. Not me. The other map belongs to all of them now. The routes still grow. Some reach past the borders. Some loop back into cities that forgot how to listen. But every letter that gets delivered ends the same way. You are remembered. You are not alone. You are still on the map. And now, so am I.